What's up, everybody? Welcome to the next episode of Prophet Unscripted. I am here with my dear friend, Alex Glass.
Hi, buddy.
Alex, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
How's it going, man?
Excited to be here.
Good, good. What are you up to these days?
Oh, things, starting a new company and, being a dad and all the things that come with that at the same time. So, just rocking and rolling.
What's your job?
I am currently the regional manager for Prophet Homes in Dallas here and oversee basically DFW and make sure we get this thing rocking and rolling,
Yeah. Well, I want to lead off with something very important. Van Halen, renowned rock and roll band from the 1980s, 90s for the most part. You love this band. You're 38 years old. So if you do the math, it really doesn't make any sense at all. That's more like my age and older. How did this come about?
I love that you brought this up, and this is where we're starting. It's with Van Halen, because I do have a terrible love for Van. It's number one, always.
Well, and all that stuff, all
I
that
cried
music.
when Eddie died. Tears.
Sorry,
had to go in my car, just cry it out. It was because of my dad, Scooter Glass, the legend. Like,
Such a legend.
I was brought up like I was born in '86, but yet I've seen every '80s, '90s terrible action movie. I was 4 years old. My favorite movie's Predator. Like, that's just
Predator came out 38 years ago today. Also dear to my heart.
Yeah. Which is probably a lot of why we are tied together very much. And it's like, when you met me, you're like, why is this like 25-year-old kid in love with Van Halen? What's going on here? And it's tied to me. And, a lot of that, yes, definitely comes from, great parenting and just exposure to things that I probably shouldn't have been exposed to at that age. But
right,
that's where we were. It was, and a big part of my mindset and era of music comes from a generation that I was not actually involved in but loved, and I joke, I actually have a picture in my office at my house that's one of my favorite possessions, and you bought for me at a charity auction, which is an autographed Van Halen poster album, and I cherish it. But yeah, it's a unique thing. It's most people are like, what's your favorite band? And like, it's, whatever, like the generation. I'm like, Van Halen. And they're like, wow, what? And I'm like, it's the best.
Yes or no? This is a polarized question. David Lee Roth or Sammy Hagar?
You got to respect both. But obviously, the true is, there is nobody else but David Lee Roth.
Diamond Dave.
There's nobody else.
You got to take it.
I have a famous quote of like, I had to give up jogging because I kept spilling my vodka. Like,
legend.
David Lee was a nutbag. The Hagar era was great, and totally have to respect it because
I do respect
it. Was there. There's a respect on it, but nothing's like the first four albums. So you gotta. We're gonna go into the Van Halen love. I will go through each album and every song. If
Please don't.
Yeah.
But tell me about where you from and what were you like growing up? What were you into?
I'm originally from I'm from Allen, Texas, but Dallas. So born and raised here, whole life. I was, suburbs kid, very into. I grew up like playing hockey, which is kind of weird, but it was like during the time when the Dallas Stars had Mike Modano and they were good, and it was like, oh, we're like a hockey state now. So I played hockey for up through like part of high school, and then I'm skateboarding. I got into skateboarding, and I was like a punk rock kid and had spiked hair, and that was what I wanted to do.
Could you do handrails?
Of course I could do handrails. I broke my foot a couple years ago at skate park. You remember this?
Yes,
I was told I wasn't allowed to go anymore.
We are not allowed to skateboard. No. Not at this point. I'm sorry, but that's over.
In my brain, I can still do it, but physically, it's just not all there. Yeah,
sure.
No, I grew up that, and then I'm from Dallas originally. I ended up going to SMU, because finance background. I wanted to go to SMU, great school, career center. I wanted to get a finance degree and go work on Wall Street because that's where the money was. Like, it was follow that career path. But unique time period because I graduated during the 08, 09 financial collapse and was like, okay, well, that's not going to work out. Like investment banking is probably not the field right now. And a lot of my friends were going to grad school, everybody's trying to figure out what do we do next. Like, it used to be, I thought it was just going to be like, I'm going to go to SMU and I'm going to immediately get a job, working in that field. And it wasn't there. And so I was, waiting tables at Chewy's on Knox and was like, I got to figure something else out. I got to figure something out. Like, and that's where I met Andrew Welker at a career fair, and it was, this is what we do. We do this type of real estate. At the time, we were buying mostly foreclosure properties, selling them to local investors. And it was kind of like that first look at like, that HGTV mindset of like, people flip these properties and turn around and do that. But like, how do they source these properties? And that's kind of where we came in. And the mindset for me was, at the time didn't have any real estate interest. I wasn't trying to be a realtor. I did not want to show people their dream homes and things like that. But when I realized what the business was, I could take the knowledge that I had of what I wanted to do, and I just flipped it to a different asset. And it was, instead of trading stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and things like that, you're just selling a single family investment asset. But if you look at it the same way, you're buying it for X, putting Y into it, selling it for Z. It's not an emotional purchase like most real estate is. Most real estate's the most emotional purchase you're going to make. Or my kid's going to go to the school district for the next 10 years, things like that. It wasn't that. It was just buying and selling an asset. And so I could take kind of what I wanted to do and thought I wanted to do, and I just had to switch it into something else. And that ended up having to be buying and selling single family investment houses.
Wanted to touch on something you said a minute ago about the lack of opportunity coming out of college when you did.
Yeah.
Like 08, 09, very difficult times. I mean, near impossible, it felt, for new college grads to get jobs. Millennials, by the way, this has happened like repeatedly. Like throughout your career arc, it's like hit then, hit with COVID, frankly, hit with what we're starting to experience right now. I know right now unemployment for college grads is significantly higher than unemployment across the country. And it's 4%. So we're talking like 4 to 6% for college grads. This was the opportunity you had. How did you feel about that coming in? All commission, all of that. You're betting on yourself, but it obviously worked out.
I mean, yeah, I think you're right. It is very, looking at what's going on today versus when my came out, it is a very similar timeline right now. And I think that I had the same mindset as a lot of people. I go to college, I'm going to get a degree, I'm going to get a job doing this, what I want to do, get a salary, then work your way up and all these things. And I think there was a part of me in the back of my mind. I had an internship working for General Motors Finance Company when I was in college, and I kind of got my first taste of like the corporate world a little bit, of like, all right, the 9 to 5, this and that. And, the mindset of, I wanted to do something production related, because if I'm going to work twice as hard as the guy that sits next to me, I want to make twice as much money. But that's not that mentality, and I think that we're seeing that now, where those opportunities, I graduate from college and I just go get that first starter job and get my things. It may not be there, and it wasn't there for me.
Right.
So you had to either go, take out loans and go get go to grad school, or you got to go figure something else out. And I always tell people, for me, I would say it's, the best and worst thing that happened to me. It wasn't, at the time, I was like, oh my God, like I just did all this hard work and went to college and worked my ass off. And now I'm like, I'm graduating in an economy where I can't get a job in what I got a degree in. And which is crazy, because it's a finance degree. You're like, you should be able to get a job at anything. It just didn't exist. So you had to take a risk. And I mean, honestly, at the time, being 22 years old doing that, there's not really a better time to take a risk if you're going to take a risk.
Totally.
You don't have a family and all these responsibilities and things like that. And I think it ties into what we're dealing with right now as well. You have a lot of kids, they followed the path. You went to high school, went to school, college, got that degree, and now you're looking around for that job that, unfortunately, in what's going on in the economy right now, there's a lot of companies that are pulling back. They're, we're not sure where they need to be hiring, things like that, so they stop. And for me, I think that opens a lot of opportunities for people to take those risks that they're probably never thought they were going to do or terrified to do. But, getting into this, I look back and that's why I always say, I thought at the time it was the worst thing that could happen. And then it turned out to be the best thing that ever happened, that getting into something that you really are passionate about and enjoy, but also, it's 1099. You eat what you kill. You've got to go put that work in.
But the upside is tremendous. For those that get it,
the upside
uncapped commissions, and for us, a lot of support. I mean, a ton of support. You're going to come in, be very well trained in your first several weeks, of course, get everything you need to get on the phone and to frankly start making money, especially if you're talented. Ongoing training, it kind of goes on and on with us.
Yeah. I mean, I think for somebody, especially coming into us now, with the knowledge we have, the leadership we have, the establishment, the training, the
mentoring,
all these things, like coming in at this period of time, it's scary for anybody coming in. And I don't take that lightly. I never have anybody coming into
you can't
1099 position. Like, it's on us to give you all of the tools to be successful. And they're there. We have all the things in place to make you successful. At the end of the day, I always tell everybody, I can give you 100 leads, but I can't make you pick up the phone. But the reality is there are opportunities out there. They may not be the opportunities you thought were going to be there. Yeah. And I'm a prime example of that. So take me at 38 years old and, you're 22 years old graduating college. I was there. I had the mindset that I did everything right. Thought I was going to walk out of college with 5 job offers and it was going to be great. And it didn't exist. And that's very similar to what a lot of kids are going through now, where they think they did everything that they were supposed to do. And then it's like the jobs aren't there, but that means opportunity's there, but you got to go find it and you got to be willing to put in the work to take it.
Right. And I mean, what I would say to that though, and I stand by this is a pretty powerful statement to make. I have never had anyone come in who is coachable and has a strong work ethic and has grit and have them fail.
No.
Ever. Yes, in sales, you have to be able to take a punch, right? Like, you're going to have people hang up. They're going to say no, this and that. But the people that can keep going forward, I don't care where they're coming from. It doesn't matter if they have any experience. We can make them great if they have those fundamental attributes.
Absolutely. I mean, majority of our people don't have real estate experience when they come in. You have to have, those are the intangibles that you just have to have. Otherwise, yeah, the reality is like, you're going to make more money working at McDonald's. Like, this is not for you. Like, but if you have those, we have all the other tools and all the other pieces to put together to take hopefully those skills that you already naturally have and hopefully bring something out of you that you didn't think maybe was there, that if you're able to take those things, run with them, take the tools and the things that we're able to train you with and do it and run with it, you're going to have more fun and make more money than you ever thought you would ever be able to do, because college told you to get out of school and go get that first job and then, get that next
2 years later, jump and then jump for the merit raise 3%.
I mean,
it's for suckers.
It is at the end of the day.
It kind of is.
It is. I mean, some people need that. Some people need that structure and that core that is very, but if you're not willing to take the risks, like, there's not going to be the reward. And you will look up and you're 40 years old and you're still sitting at that same place and being like, I wish I took those risks earlier on. And that's really there's not a better time it's hard to take those risks. I mean, I'm very open with people that I hire now that, are taking that risk at a later age. It's a lot harder to do than it is when you're 22 years old, and you can take, if it doesn't work out and you fall on your face, great, man. You can always go figure out what's next from there. But the reality is hopefully, like it was for me, once you get into it and you find something that you're passionate about and you're good at, and you can also make a lot of money at, you never want to do anything else. It's I always, you talk about that, like you go, your plan is, I'm only going to work here 2 years, then I'm going to jump to the next place. I mean, I worked at the same company for 15 years.
And you're still in the game.
And I'm still in the game doing the same thing a second time over.
You know what
now.
it is.
But that's what, it's what I know how to do. It's what I love to do. And it's never something where you're like, okay, I've got to take that. I've got to play this game where I've got to jump from the next. It's like, no, dude, just go do more production. Just go build more teams. Go take it to that next level internally. You're a sales agent. You want to get to acquisition agent, sub manager, GM, run multiple offices. Like there's always that next step in doing what you're doing here where you never have to leave, but you're always growing. And there's always more opportunity and more money to be made and more things to grow to. And I think in the outside world, it's like, well, if I want to grow, the guy in front of me is going to be in that job for the next 10 years.
Die.
Yeah, he has to die, which is, or retire. But right, But so it's like, I've got to make another move, and I've got to go reset and start over with a new group of people and a new friends and all these things. And I was, again, we've been together for 13 years or something like that.
Yep.
And that's because we started doing this together, it's not, here we are again doing this all over again, but it's very much like you make those core relationships. And if you really put in the time and the focus to do it and build something, like it's something that you can build and you just run with there's no reason to not do it,
Yeah.
And I think that's another, it's hard. It's hard work. You got to have the work, but it's very rewarding.
Tell me about acquisitions. And let me preface this with saying you taught me acquisitions.
I did.
You were always the best guy in that office. What do you like about it? Why did you take to that?
Yeah. Sales was something that I had to learn to do. Like I had to, it was more like, it didn't come natural. It was more like, okay, I can do this and I know the product well enough and the numbers well enough that I can go sell it. Acquisition is the flip side of that. It's more analytical, and that tied in way more with my brain and how I work and my background, which was, okay, now rather than going and selling these properties to our investors, I'm, figuring out where do we need to buy these properties and then negotiating and working on that end. So it's just more of an analytical side of the job. And that to me just came naturally. And whether it was, building a big part of the sales interaction that you need for acquisitions is being able to build relationships with people. It's the flip side, but the numbers was everything. And that's where I really got into, I feel like my foothold of understanding this business was like, okay, it's all about valuations. It's just, figuring out what a property's worth, figuring out the estimated repair costs, things like that, and working backwards. And it's details. It's more that analytical details side of it, which, that's still probably my strong suit. As if I say anything, I
think everyone has a side.
Everybody has a side.
Yeah.
And there's some people that are, just natural born salespeople, and you try to flip them to the other side and it's like, that's where they want to be. And then you have people that, start in sales and they flip over there, and that's where they kind of shine, is on that acquisition side, because maybe they are more of an analytical thinker, and where they're more of that type of negotiation on that side, where you're working with, sellers and agents and all the different places that we buy properties from. And so for me, that was a pretty quick transition. I only did like actual as a sales agent for like 6 months, and then immediately was like, this is what I want to do.
Right.
And transitioned over to that side. And I think that's you have to have both. If you're going to run an office, you're going to manage people, you're going to take it to the next level, you have to be able to do both.
For sure.
Because you can't not know how to do both sides of the job. And I can flip the switch on the sales and go do that as needed. But also like the acquisition side is just, I always found that more interesting because it tied in more with what I, kind of wanted to do.
Yeah.
So.
Well, moving forward a little bit, I know you became a GM in 2013.
Yeah.
You were young, man.
I was
what
young.
Are you, like 26?
I was 22. Yeah. So 26 when I took over the office and started, essentially managing and running people. Yeah. So,
well, the office you took over was in bad shape, and that had nothing to do with the company. It just the management, the transition, all of that. You had talent. You had Max for one.
Yeah.
But it was rough, and I know that. Tell me about that experience. Like, how did you manage your way out of that?
It's difficult when you don't start something it's difficult when you start from scratch, and you take, especially being 25, 26 years old when I took over, all of a sudden the guys that were my peers, now you're the boss. And it's like, Okay, so there's a little bit of that where it's like, you know, okay, there's that dynamic of like, you were one of us yesterday, now you're in charge, you know? I think that was at an early age, something that was like, you kind of had to grapple with, but also, you know, I think a big part of it for me was I took over something that somebody else had kind of built and structured, and kind of, I feel like the first year that I was a general manager, I was just trying to maintain what was there. I wasn't trying to really build my own culture, my own team, really build. I was just like, this wasn't working out with this person. So, hey, you were, I think at the time I was the acquisition manager, and it was kind of naturally happening. So I transitioned into that role. But the first 12 months that I did it, I was just trying to maintain what was there.
Right.
And I knew it wasn't going to work.
So you like felt like maybe subconsciously you didn't have a license to like make the big moves.
Correct.
Including maybe firing some
You
people.
did it. You
right?
did it. You felt uncomfortable about it because you're like, these are my friends. These are guys I've been doing this business with, or peers. And some of them probably shouldn't be in this room right now, but it's awkward. Like, all right, like
it's tough
to immediately take over and then be like, all right, we're going to wipe you, you know? And so the first year was kind of like that, and it didn't go that well, to be very honest. It was a struggle, and I was, you know, 26 years old trying to figure out how to manage 15 agents and plus and grow it and do all these things. And a big thing for me was, you know, we had some good, you know, leadership and things like that, but we didn't really have the training on that. The training was all based off of buying and selling properties. It wasn't based off like you either naturally knew how to manage people or like, we'll see what happens. And I think that's when I started to realize that I've got to invest in myself. And I started reading a lot of business development books, management books. I joined Vistage. I needed more leadership counseling on, hey, I'm 26 years old and I'm running a very profitable business. I look back at it now as 38 years old and be like, didn't even know what I was doing at the time, you know, but also like, you just kind of, we just went with it. And so I started like really like spending a year doing that because I knew it was necessary and needed. And it really did get to a point where, you know, at the time, the owners of the company kind of were like, you know, this is our hub market. This is our original market. Like things need to change around here. And I was like, then the reality is I need to fire everybody but 5 people. And that was probably the hardest at that age, like realizing that and being like, the pressure's on me. The pressure's not on the company, the office of the team. The pressure's on me to go build this and perform. And I was like, I can't do it with what I've been given. So I've got to go make some really hard conversations and choices and decisions at, you know, a young age. Some of these people are friends of mine, but the reality is like, this is a performance-based job. Like you got it. That's how it works. So we did. And in end of 2014, early 2015, I let everybody go except for 5 people. One of them being Max, Rudy. And there was a handful of us, and we just rebuilt it. And I hired, you know, a lot of guys that later ended up running offices for us and really grew from there. But it was just like, I need to go build this. I need 6 months to go build this my way. I've run it the old way for a year. I need 6 months to go build this right way. If I can't, then find somebody else. Like then it doesn't work. And thank God it worked, and it took off from there. And then, you know, it was, you know, 10 years of growth kind of from there, I guess. But
with the right person, it works.
It works.
Like the model works. And if you have sufficient recruiting, which can be a struggle, you know, depending where you are, to that point, and speaking of performance, from there, you guys became one of the very best, and at times the best office in the company. You were top office in 2017.
Yep.
And you were always top
always
3.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys were there, right? So you've had a lot of success. What was it like, or rather, how do you maintain a high level of performance over time? Because to me, consistency is very difficult in this business.
It's the hardest. It's very hard because this business can go like this all the time.
It usually does.
And it usually does. Yeah. Work.
Yeah.
There's nothing. It's work ethic. It just is what, and it starts from you all the way down, like the reality is like, if, when things are going well, it's easy to like start to check out a little bit. But the reality is that's not how this works. Like like we buy and sell single family investment real estate. We run a sales organization. You've got to be managing all the time. And there's always something, whether the market's great or the market's hard or whatever. Majority of the issues that I run into have nothing to do with real estate. They usually have to do with people.
Yes.
We manage people. People have lives. People have kids. People have
problems.
That is your job, really. At the end of the day, like, I'm in the people management business. We just happen to sell real estate.
Sure.
But that's the business. That's the job. And I think that the second that you start to take your pulse off of that, or you go, things are going well, I'm going to now start to, take a back seat and just let this thing cruise. That's just not reality. It's you've got to always have that work ethic. And for me, I think it was just a mindset that I can't, like, as the top of the pyramid of your team, or, if they think that you're starting to slack or you're starting to do that, guess what? They do the same. You first one in, first one out all the time. It's just,
that was important, especially in the beginning.
Especially in the beginning. Once you get it built and you've got really talented support around you, good management roles, second tier things like that, like, yeah, this is it it weighs a little less, but heavy is the crown. Like, it doesn't matter if you're the owner or you're running an office, like, you've got that responsibility to put up those numbers every month. And I never, like, didn't matter how well we were doing, there was always more, you know? And I think that mentality, helped drive that, and that drove our competition. I mean, you and I competed for years running opposite offices on literally across the market from each other, while also being very close friends. But there was always that competition that was engaged.
Best time of my life.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's the best. And when it's going great, it's great, but it's also like, you're just always pushing. I always tell guys, even coming back and now, being 38, doing this again, I'm like, when I feel like I can't push anymore, then it's time for somebody else to run it.
For sure.
Like, that's just how it works.
Would you agree that recruiting is a huge part of that?
It's so important. It's so hard. And it doesn't matter. It just is what it is. Recruiting is, you're always growing, you're always looking for the next talent. And I think it's
with pushing people out in particular, pushing them up and out, like they're being promoted.
That was a huge thing for me.
Like, major talents.
Thinking about that, like, there was times, especially 2016, 17, 18, where I was developing great talent. That's awesome. But then we were moving those people across the country to go open offices. Mm-hmm. So I'd have the number one acquisition agent in the company, and it's like, you're going to lose that guy because he's going to go open Denver. And I'm like, cool. All right. You just keep doing it, And I think, and part of me at the time was, you think of it as like negative, like you're losing like, I've spent all this time, invested this, and you're losing it. But the reality is like, that's your job, is to continue to create talent and continue to create opportunities for people to move up, whether it's in the company or, if anything, it's, you come in and put 5 years with me and then decide like you're going to go somewhere else. I want to, hopefully, when you leave me, you're walking out the door with an incredible experience. I'm going to back you on whatever you're going to go do. And thank you for the years that you put in with us, not, hey, negative type of thing situation. Like, I hope that during the time period that you were with us or with me, that either that expands you in the company or gives you, hopefully the background and education that you've learned in doing this to go do something else. Like, it's an entrepreneurial business, and I never, take that lightly. I want guys to be successful, hopefully with us for a long time. But if that leads to other things down the road, they're always, they pick up the phone and call me. I'm not going to not take your phone call.
Well, man, what I would just respond to that, like, that is, to me, the exact right perspective, but also a mature perspective, because I know, and I've experienced it as a GM, you've got this talent and you're like, if I can just hold them together. That's not the way life works. People want to grow, and you need to not only let them, but encourage that to happen.
I look at it from a perspective, like, I read a lot of coaching books. It's not like coaching, like football coaching.
Yeah.
Your roster changes every year.
That's right.
Like, you're a high school football coach and you've got 6A state championship team. Half of them are gone next year. You got to do it again.
Right.
It's the same thing. Like, you just always are doing that. And I'm not mad that those people left or went off to go do something. That's just the natural progression of life. It's your job to continue to elevate that talent and replace that talent with the next talent. So you're always looking for that next person. I think a big thing of this business where we run into is, like, obviously it's referrals business is huge, you know, having that to where, you know, somebody comes and works for me for a year or 2 years and they have the experience to where they're willing to bring in a close friend of theirs or somebody like that,
Right.
and feel the confidence that, like, you can come in here, because this is not an easy job. It's 1099. Like, it's not like you're not walking into some beautiful salary. Like, you've got to put in the work, and
It's a risk.
I don't take that lightly. Even now, recruiting, that's one of the first things I say to people in an interview is, like, you know, it's why we do our ride along interview and things like that. I don't want anybody walking into a 1099 job and showing up on day one and being like, this is not what I expected.
Sure.
After
And it
you
happens.
just invested in a real estate license and things like that. It's like, I want you to hopefully know what you're walking into and be ready, you know, day one to, you know, now we're going to give you everything we got, training, all the tools and things to do it. But at the end of the day, I've always tell everybody, I can give you 100 leads. I can't make you pick up the phone. That's the difference between somebody that's successful in this or not.
Completely agree. After you had been a GM for a long time, I mean, we were in the game together for a long time, loved it. You then were promoted to a director role at that company. You were given the title of Chief Operating Officer. And you were, I mean, I know you're handling a lot of kind of small, like, operation stuff, but you were handling big stuff. You were tied in. At the same time, I had a very clear sense that you were not happy. What was it that made you unhappy in that role, and why did you seek something else?
Yeah. And there's a lot that went into all of that, but I think the easiest thing in this, like, is my whole career, I mean, I started doing this when I was 22, has been in people, sales, deals, just on the phone all day, whether it's title company, whoever it be, it's that, to a very abrupt, like, kind of corporate role of, okay, we're going to oversee operations. Great. We're going to open X amount of markets. We want you to help with that. Awesome. There's parts of it that I did enjoy. There was a lot of it that all of a sudden was like, I'm a salesman at the end of the day. Like,
right.
I'm not a Zoom call guy, you know? And it was very much like, all right, your schedule is, we're going to get on a Zoom meeting and talk about a project that we're not going to do for 6 months, if we ever even do it.
Yeah.
And what I was kind of just going through that rhythm of that. And all of a sudden I became that, what I always never wanted to be, which was, and I have a lot of friends like this, as you get to this age and you're in a career path that you never thought you were going to get in, and now you're kind of stuck, and all of a sudden it's Monday and you hate it. I never woke up a single Monday morning and was not ready to go sell real estate, like ready to go do this, lead the team, lead the charge, do it. Doing that, I was like, great, I've got 3 Zoom calls today, this and that. It wasn't for me. Passion was gone, you know?
Right.
I was not doing something that I truly felt like I was every day making a difference in anything.
Right. Well, and you were very siloed in that role.
Yeah.
Did you miss the people?
That's the number one thing was I missed. We went from running, I had, at that time, like 80 agents or something across multiple markets and things like that. And it was like the day to day of just, the joy, like, I love a funny phone call from a sales agent or something, like, just
even the headaches,
which is
because you've seen it
headaches,
before,
but you know it, you see it. And it's kind of one of those things that, like, I think at the time I thought like, all right, this will be a cool transition and this is going to be good for the company and all these things and this and that. And it was very clear, like, after I did it for a while, that we had different types of roles, that I was like, this is not, I've kind of been siloed over here. And I'm like, I gotta get back to the people. I'm a people guy. I love building people and growing people and, just interacting with people all day. And instead it was like, and I can do the other things, which is why I was doing that, but it was not what I was passionate about at all.
Right.
And I really, I think that was a big, obviously reason why I exited probably was just because I wanted to get back to doing what I love to do, which maybe I thought I didn't love so much until it's like, you don't know what you have till it's gone, so to say, or whatever. And then I was like, no, I want to get back in it. I want to be running deals. I want to be working with, I want all the headaches. Bring me back all the headaches. Bring me back the cranky buyers and the seller and the acquisition area, whatever it may be. Like, bring me back that, because at the end of the day, like, that's what I want to do. I want to work with people. I want to help people. I want to, train people. I want to grow people. I want to hire people, all those things. And I was like, I'm going to work from home, talk to my golden retriever 90% of my day. And that just, it took a toll after a couple of years,
Sure. Well, you kind of took the wind out of my sails
Did I
with,
steal your next question?
with my next question. Yeah. Which was really that we know, even just being a sales agent, but being a GM it requires tremendous engagement, a ton of work, a 24/7 schedule, at least in terms of being responsive. Like, you can get a call or a question Saturday morning, 8 a.m.
Yep.
that is
And
a
bomb
big deal.
drops on
Yeah,
you.
straight up grenade just dropped in your lap, right? So it's stressful. It requires sacrifice. It's also very lucrative. I think you already answered this, but you can expand on it. Apart from the money, why are you back?
I mean, yeah, the people, obviously, that's a big part of it. I mean, money, yes, is great. We all love that. But at the same time, I think I knew what at the end of the day, I don't want to say I don't know how to do anything else, but this is what I'm good at. And it's why, you kind of get to that point in your life. I'm 38 years old. I have a 4-year-old. I've got a life. I got other things going on. And it was like, I did take stock in, like, what else could I go do? Okay, I can go, flip houses, be an investor, do all the things that we do on the side anyways, those things, and focus on that. But I didn't get into real estate because I liked real estate.
It's not rewarding like
There's
that.
not reward. I got into real estate because
Right.
I liked the people part of it and the sales part of it and the numbers. And I was just, let's just go back. Let's just go do it all over again, but it is different, doing it now at 38 years old, with a family, and the time commitments is probably the biggest thing, because that's probably the biggest thing that I worry about is got to have a life balance now. Before we didn't have a life balance. We didn't care.
None.
There was no life balance. It was like, hey, I'll be home at this time, or maybe not,
Or not. Yeah.
It's just, that was the life. That's different now. And I think that honestly, it's changed my perspective of how I manage the office, how I grow my team, how I delegate, having second line managers at this point. I've got some guys that have been in this business for a long time that I've been able to elevate into positions, hopefully probably faster, as fast as I could, because I knew that I was not going to be able to put in as much time as I had done before, because I have other obligations that are just as, if not more important for sure than this. But I didn't want to feel like I couldn't give this my all. So you look at it a different perspective, and there's different mindset of, okay, how can I still give this team everything that they need, even if it's not all coming from me?
Yeah.
And there was a part of me before that was like, I just need to do it all myself. Like, delegation's probably one of my worst things, because I'm just like,
Very hard.
I'll just
if
do
you're a performer,
Yeah.
you're used to doing it yourself.
You're just so used to things like, even just like, we have a wonderful transaction coordinator now. We didn't have that back in the day. That was me doing it all. And
Right.
in my brain, it was just like, you need to be doing this because it's like, no, that is a very awesome role that we can have, and somebody else can take over. And like, you don't need to be on top of all that things. And I felt like before, I think I was younger, and I just felt like I had to do everything. And now doing it from a whole different perspective, it's like, no, there are definitely things that you can delegate that also elevates people, which is better. It creates more opportunities, more growth for all the people around you, which is what you're trying to do in the first place. But in your brain, you just thought you needed to do it all yourself.
Yeah.
And definitely doing this now a second time and coming back to do it, that was one of the main things when I like looked at how do I want to build a new office? Okay, we're starting over from scratch. We're doing this all over again. You know, I've got 4 guys in the door or whatever it is, and you're like, okay, we've got to start all over and do this again. You've got to go higher, grow, everything like that. But I knew I knew going around this time, I was like, I need to elevate people into positions early that I'm very happy that I did. And that's allowed me to, one, put people in positions where they should be, but also allows me to have the time that I need. Like at the end of the day, like I have a 4-year-old, and that's the most important thing in my life. It's also why I got back in this role and did it. I don't love to travel. I like to be I'm a homebody. Yeah. Like,
Sure.
It's a good reason. Like we have you. Yeah. And so, like, I like to go in and put as much as I can in, and then I want to go home and see my kid.
Yeah.
It's just, that's where my life's at this point.
Understandable. I do want to touch on one thing you just mentioned quickly, having a transaction coordinator. Like, because I remember working with you. Shout out Lexi. You would get deep on the transactional stuff in a way that I wouldn't.
No.
I trained them and was like, you do it, because I hate that kind of work. But you were very like on top of it. And I'm talking about funding requests, reviewing HUDs, all these different things. Now we have what we didn't previously, a transaction coordinator. How is that for your life and your agents' lives?
It's incredible. And it's just
Why?
like, it's one of those things that you're like, this is why did we not do this 10 years ago?
Right.
And I was definitely something as getting back into doing this. I was like, this is a must. This is a role that's an absolute, well, not only for me as a manager, and I'm just anal. I need to know where all the numbers are. I need to know what's going on all the time. It's just part of my brain. And, I would say even like the first, it's something that I'm still on top of all the time, but it is an incredible thing. It also for managers, for agents, especially acquisition agents, the amount of time that you get back having that role, especially when you're confident in the person in that role, that they're on top of that as much as you're on top of all the other things that are needing to be going on and stuff like that. And just knowing that that's taken care of is, it's been game changing for sure. Like, for our agents and for our team and our ability, just, it's the end of the month. And, before it would be like, all you're doing is trying to get your deals closed. It's like, no. We have somebody that's managing that. So you can focus on, we don't lose a week every month, which we kind of used to do.
You're freeing them up for production. And by the way, all that transactional stuff, they suck at it.
They're bad
and
at it.
They hate it. And they know it. And we know it. Take it out of their hands and give it to a professional who knows it like the back of her hand.
Correct. And that's all she does all day long. And she knows, and you're not, it's some for, all purposes of just, but you're exactly right. Like sales agent acquisition, they're agents. They want to be out.
They want to make it rain.
Business.
Yeah.
They don't want to be like, all right, I got to make sure this HUD's right. And then like I submit funding. Like, it's like, no, dude, don't even think about that. Don't worry about that at all. You go find the next deal. We handle all of that. And so it's a critical role, and that's been great having that. And I think that's been, for me, again, like the delegations and just being able to, where can I maximize, if I can only come to the office and spend this much time now instead of this much time, how do I maximize the time that I'm putting in to get the best out of me for the team, and know confidently that there's other people I can put in positions to take on these things that I can't anymore. And it's great. It's really been, a breath of fresh air, but also just again allowing us to elevate somebody into a position like that and then grow from that. Because the reality is as we grow as a company, we're going to continue to grow that out, and and now have multiple and continue to grow that out that just didn't exist. It was, so it's another career opportunity and growth, which is what we're kind of all about. This, that's
That's what we're about here, for
Yeah.
sure, for sure. Well, I want to pivot back just kind of to the personal side. I mean, you and I mean, we've kind of been growing up together, even though I was 35 when I met you.
And I was 25.
But I needed to grow up still quite a
Yeah.
bit. It's been amazing to watch. And this is how I feel about agents that you're with for a period of time. Like, I've been able to watch your life develop. I don't care what my wife says. I introduced you to your wife.
Yeah.
You have a beautiful family, a beautiful daughter, a sick house. You've had so much success, which is just like, you've done it. And now we're going to do it again and do it even bigger. But you bought yourself a car a few years back. And this car was the car on the poster in your bedroom growing up. This is your teenage dream car. Tell me about the car.
I do own my childhood dream car.
What is it?
I have a 1997 355 GTB Ferrari that throwback for the 90s movies. For our generation, if you watch the movie The Rock, it's the yellow one that...
The Rock.
Yeah. It's If you watch Fast and Furious, it's the black Ferrari that he races against in this terrible scenes or whatever. It was like that childhood dream of that. So in 2019 or something, I remember I jokingly made a comment about it to my brother, who is I call him my life broker. He basically, I tell him things and then he somehow finds it and then talks me into buying it. And
brothers will do that.
That's what they do. That's what they're good for. And I remember him calling me one day and being like, I found it. And I'm like, where? It was like in Seattle or somewhere. And I was on vacation and I bought it on vacation and had it shipped to my brother's house. And when I got back, it was there. And yeah, it's like my most prized possession that I have.
Well, and I know it's prized, and you've got a lot of nice stuff. I think that's some of the fruits of our labors. But like, was that like emblematic of like, I am successful?
Yeah, and I think it was like and it's just one of those weird things where it's like, I mean, you tell somebody you buy a Ferrari, they think you bought a new Ferrari,
400,000.
Yeah, like, and I'm like, nah, dog, it wasn't like that. Yeah. It was like, I bought this one.
It's still sick.
It's still, I mean, it's incredible. I mean, it's the last hand built Ferrari. Like, it's the.
All right.
There's a lot to it. There's a personal attachment to me, but I think that's the other thing too. Is like, when you are successful and you do make it and things like that, like, or get to a point where you can buy things like that. For me, it's like, dude, can I curse on here?
I go for it.
I'm like, any asshole can go buy a new Ferrari.
Right. Sure.
Cool. Like, you made some money, you want to go buy. It's it's like knowing what you want and going and buying that one and not having any care whether, like, my wife doesn't think it's cool. She's like, the air conditioning sucks. It's from 90s.
Sure.
Yeah. Like, it's not, it's like, for me, what's cool to me. And I think that's what's cool is like, when you get older and you get a personality and all these different things, and hopefully you do get to a point where you make some money and can do that. It's like, it's not buying what other people think is cool. It's buying what you think is cool.
That's
right.
And
then realistically, that's what then people think it's cool,
Yeah.
And y'all love it and you love it. And you're not really a car guy, but it's cool to me. So you think it's cool in a very similar way.
It's true.
That, I mean, you can see your tattoo. You have a massive tattoo art collection that is very dear to you. I know nothing about. Like, I have no context of this at all. But one of my favorite things to do is go to your house and let you talk to me about it because you like it and I think it's cool. So then it's like,
that's sweet.
You get that context. It's the same thing.
But you're right. No, I see it through. You're right. I see it through that exact perspective. I've never articulated that, so it's cool to hear that.
Yeah.
But well, man, I'm out of questions. We could talk forever. We do all day, every day.
Yeah, pretty much. Do
you want to say anything else?
Thanks for having me. Like, I don't know. I mean, ending things like, I mean, again, like this is casual and so easy for us because we've been together for ever. I would say it's. I'm excited to do it all over again. I'm excited to do it with the people that I love doing it all over again. There's nothing easy about it. You may know you may have done it for 15, 16, however many years. And like, it is what it is. Like it's hard. Like you got to go back there and put in the work, build it. There's no cheat codes. There's no like, oh, we did it. We've done this. We've done it at the heights, you know, all these things. And it's like, you just got to go put in the work and do it all over again. But with that comes the reward of building it. And I think that's the biggest thing, starting it all over and doing this all over again. And people being like, okay, so you're going to go basically just do that again. And I'm like, yeah, this is what I love to do. And yes, when you build it, it can be very lucrative and all those things. But I think the biggest thing is like, enjoy the build. Like it sucks sometimes and there's hard days and this and that.
The journey's the reward.
The journey is the reward.
It really is, but you got to get there.
But you got to get there.
Yeah.
And there's no like, okay, you've done it all before once. So like, this is going to be easy. And like, you're just going to like put some things in place and then like fuck off. And it's like, that's not how this works at all. You've got to want to do it again. Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing I can say with the leadership that we have and the team that we have and things like that is like, there's nobody here that doesn't want to be here.
Right.
And that's what makes it fun again. You know? So
yeah,
that's all I got.
Well, that was great. Thank you for being here. I really enjoyed that.
I had fun.